The number one reason why I no longer binge is because I've gotten rid of my binge urges. And there's a few key things that I specifically focused on to get to this point where I haven't felt a single urge to binge in 4 years. So the first thing is I've honored my cravings. Now, what this doesn't mean is honoring your cravings doesn't mean that you go to the restaurant and every single time you get the burger, every single time you order the pizza, every single time you get dessert, every single time you get the appetizer, the main course, and dessert. Honoring your cravings does not mean going to the grocery store and always picking up chips or chocolate. It doesn't mean every single night having chocolate if you don't really want it. Honoring your cravings is exactly that. It is when you have a craving, then you honor it. So where people get confused or people mess this up is, well, I'm supposed to honor my craving, so I'm just going to eat chocolate all the time. And again, there's nothing wrong with having chocolate all the time. I mean, I love my dark chocolate. Many of you guys know that. I love my dark chocolate. But I don't just eat chocolate because, freedom, I have it and I have a good relationship with it, so I can have it whenever. It's when I'm craving it, I will have it. And so if you want to get rid of your urges, you need to be honoring your cravings. And again, it's maybe that looks like, Monday night, you're yeah, you know what? I really am craving some chocolate. So then you have some chocolate. And then maybe on Tuesday, you're honestly, something that I really want that's sweet is my dates and almond butter. And then maybe on Saturday, you're I'm craving something more saltier or whatever the case may be. But it's honoring your cravings, because when you honor your cravings, you're not going to become impulsive. And so many people, and you right now listening to this, you might be thinking that you're honoring your cravings, but you're either just honoring your urges, and that's why you're spiraling out of control, or you're still fearing your cravings, which means you're not actually honoring your cravings, which is why you still have urges. So to this day, I confidently can say I do not binge, and I haven't binged in 4 years, because I still to this day honor my cravings. Cravings, every single person has cravings. And in fact, tonight, I was craving some dark chocolate. I bought these dark chocolate chips that I love at the grocery store. And I had my dinner and I was yeah, you know what? I'm going to have some dark chocolate chips because something sweet after a meal just always sounds so good. So I had some dark chocolate chips and then I put the rest back and I was I'm good. And then not too long after, I was I actually want a little bit more. And so I honored that craving. And this goes into the second one. I did not judge myself. So I said, I want more. So I went and I got more chocolate chips without judging myself. Right now, you might be saying that you're honoring your cravings, but you're judging yourself and you're well, you shouldn't be having this, or, well, that's such a large portion, or shouldn't you have been satisfied with the first portion? Why do you need more? But that judgment is what fuels the binge. I don't judge myself. If I want more, I'm just okay, I want more. But that's also because I trust myself. So when you trust yourself, you're not afraid of wanting more because you're I trust myself. So I'm going to have some right now. And my body's telling me that I want a little bit more. So I'm going to have a little bit more. I didn't judge myself. I was okay, I want a little bit more, so I'm going to have a little bit more. Zero judgment. And then I was emptying out the dishwasher, and I was you know what? I have been loving my rice cakes with nut butter, either almond butter or this nut and seed butter that I buy. and then I melt dark chocolate with coconut oil on a pan, just on the stovetop, and I just put that over the rice cake. And I'm like, that sounds really good right now. And because I honored my craving, because I did not judge myself, I actually had one rice cake. And that's it. I moved on with my night. That's it. Went for a lovely bike ride with my friend, and that's it. Moved on with my day. But if you don't honor your cravings and or you judge yourself when you're actually honoring your cravings, that's what's going to spiral you into a binge. So tonight, I honor my cravings. I did not judge myself. And as a result, I don't binge. And this is literally the steps that I took to get rid of my binge urges. So right now, these are the steps that you can also be taking to stop feeling so impulsive with food. These are the exact same steps as well that you can use to get rid of those strong, persistent, demanding urges. The third thing, which kind of goes hand in hand, is being actually realistic with your portions. And I talked about this briefly. But again, if you are saying, okay, I'm going to honor my cravings and I'm going to have like 5 chocolate chips. I'm sorry, but that is not realistic. I give myself a generous portion because I want to feel satisfied, right? So if you are telling yourself, okay, just like one small handful of chocolate chips, let's say for an example, and you're like, yeah, you should be satisfied. Like you don't need any more. That is you judging yourself, but that's also you not being realistic with your portions. And then this is how it turns out. So you tell yourself, okay, only a handful of chocolate chips. And then all of a sudden you're like, that wasn't enough. Like I'm still wanting some more. Like that's not satisfying for me. And you're like, but I want more. And then you're judging yourself because you're like, come on, like you should just been fine with that. But then you start getting impulsive because you're not actually honoring that craving. And then you open up the pantry and then you get more, but you feel like I shouldn't be doing this. Come on, you should have been okay with just the first portion. Now in your head, you are convincing yourself that you're messing up and you're ruining a day of maybe healthy eating. But there's nothing wrong with wanting more. In fact, if you just gotten a second portion without judgment, honor that craving, and were actually realistic with the amount that you even had even in the first place, you could have prevented a binge. But because then you're judging yourself for wanting more and you're like, oh, you should have just had one portion and been fine with it. That judgment is like, oh, I know you're right. Oh, well, you know what? I'm going to finish the whole bag, or I'm going to, eat until I'm so sick, because it spirals into the all or nothing mentality, and it's just never a good situation. So you can literally prevent a binge from happening by honoring your cravings, releasing the judgment, and being realistic with your portions. I see this all the time with the clients that I work with. The clients that come in and work with me, whether it's inside of the Root and Rewire membership, whether they're inside of Conquer or inside of the Academy, where you get some personalized coaching with me, the clients that come in that honor their cravings, and not just free for all, but a true craving. They honor their cravings. They don't judge themselves for wanting something sweet after a meal, or for wanting some chocolate, or, I actually do want a smoothie, for lunch instead of my protein and vegetables, and they honor that, and they're realistic with their portions. They are the clients that come in and they get rid of their binge urges much faster. This is the recipe. But you're going to continue to have urges if you're fearing your cravings, you're not being realistic with your portions, and there's so much judgment going on. I have a client that I'm working with inside of the Ditch Decade Diets Academy, and she's like this massive action taker. Like literally, she comes to our coaching calls. Like she's such a freaking badass. Everyone, all my clients, you guys are all badasses. this one particular client, she comes on our coaching call and she was talking about how sometimes she doesn't know if she's actually honoring or she's kind of like dismissing a craving because she wants to pull on gentle nutrition, or if it's more like kind of restriction. And she was saying that, sometimes she'll have, let's say, fruit for breakfast. And then let's say later on, she'll want a smoothie with more fruit. And she's like, but should I really have that? Or should I have maybe my protein and vegetables? And I told her, I said, if you want a smoothie with more fruit, I want this. That is a true craving. So honor it. Don't focus on, this has too much sugar. This has too many calories. Instead, it's what's going to be most satisfying? What is my body actually telling me? What do I actually want in this moment? And literally the next day, I actually think it was the evening of our coaching call. She's an action taker, massive action. As soon as I share something with her, she goes and implements. And I told her, stop focusing on the calories or I'm eating too many carbs, but really focus on just what do I feel like and actually honoring that. So again, you had some fruit for breakfast, but then you also want some fruit later on. You want some watermelon, you want a smoothie, honor that. And she's been doing that and she's been way less impulsive. This works. It works. This is rewiring your brain. This is getting rid of your binge urges. You do this, you're going to have less urges. It's why my clients literally tell me, I haven't even felt the urge. I can't remember the last time that I binged. It's because they're doing the work. They're honoring their cravings. They're not honoring their urges. That's the difference. They're actually honoring their cravings. I talked about this inside of my program, Stop the Urge. It's an entire program that I help you get rid of your urges. And I explain the difference between cravings and urges so you actually know when to give in and when not to give in. But again, when I say honor your cravings, I'm talking about true physical cravings. I'm not talking about urges. And so many people don't know the difference. And so they think that they're actually honoring their cravings, but they're honoring their urges and wondering why 1 or 2 cookies is never enough. And I'm like, well, you didn't actually honor a craving. You actually honored an impulse or an urge, which is why you spiraled and needed, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cookies because, 1 or 2 wasn't enough. But when you honor your true physical cravings, that's when you're going to be able to feel satisfied and just simply move on with your night. So this is what it takes. And I wanted to share this with you guys because you don't have to be having these strong, demanding urges. There is a way through rewiring your brain where you can get rid of them. So literally you don't even feel them. Like tonight, when I had my dark chocolate, I did not once feel impulsive. I honor my cravings. I'm realistic with my portions. Of course, I've gotten rid of my urges, but still to this day, I honor my cravings. I make sure I'm satisfied. And you would be able to get rid of your urges so much faster if you honored your cravings, you were realistic with your portions, and you stopped judging yourself. The judgment is what fuels the cycle. The unrealistic portions is what fuels the cycle. You being scared to honor your cravings in fear of, well, what if I binge is actually causing you to binge? So you can get rid of your urges, and when you get rid of your urges, you feel powerful. You can be home alone. It can be late at night. You can be literally just got home from the grocery store and you have chocolate and you have a little bit and you move on with your day, or you literally keep, chocolate in your house and you just open up the pantry whenever you want and you're like, oh, yeah, I'm craving it tonight, so I'm going to have some. It's actually not even a big deal. You forget that it's there. I bought ice cream, 2 packages of ice cream, and months have passed. And I was like, and months have passed, and Andrew all of a sudden was eating this ice cream. And I was like, oh, I kind of forgot that I bought that. It was literally like 3 months and I had like a few bites from it. And I'm not even trying to restrict myself. I just have no desire. There's no pull on any of these foods anymore. And there's weekends where I'm home alone. There's times where, Andrew's away and there's no desire. Let me secretly eat it. It's like, I literally forgot that it's there. Like one day he was just eating the ice cream and I was like, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, right. I bought that like 3 months ago. And there's actually, so he finished that one. And there's actually still one. Let me just open up the freezer. Or maybe, actually, I think he ate that one too. Yeah, he definitely ate that one. Well, there's no more in my freezer, but I didn't even know. I literally forgot about it. This is the power of rewiring your brain. This is the power of getting rid of your urges. This is the power of taking your control back. This is the power of you actually taking your control back and taking these foods off of a pedestal and having no desire to eat past physically full.